Hello and welcome back to Premier Injuries. Once again, you can see that Ben is by the Riverside, the Tyneside in Newcastle. But today we're going to be by your side, helping you with your Premier League, Fantasy Premier League teams. As always, this is the Q&A on the Premier Injuries YouTube channel, so make sure to hit the subscribe button, like and share the video, share it with your friends, because this is weekly, this is your show, and we answer everything that will help you. Now, Seaguinness Stout has asked about Basmati. We're talking about Declan Rice. Is he up for the game at Chelsea?
I hope we're talking about Declan Rice. No, would be the long and short of it. We're not expecting Declan Rice to be back. Good news is he is slightly ahead of schedule. There were concerns that he'd miss the remainder of the season. Doesn't look to be the case. Initial timeline was 4 to 6. It could be towards that sort of month mark from that original injury. So maybe not this week, but if we could see him maybe on the training pitches from next week, that would be a good sign. So yeah, just a little bit too soon for that one, but yeah, he's not too far away.
I think that'll be a big boost when he's back as well for those West Ham defensive assets. Let's move on to somebody though that taunts a lot of defensive assets. It's Harry Kane. Swinglish 95 has asked, is Kane worth benching for the blank and keeping for Sheffield, or is the injury likely to cause him to miss the Sheffield United game as well?
Yeah, I would certainly be looking to bench Kane, a Kane owner here as well, and I'm not looking to ship him out. As it currently stands, Ryan Mason hasn't ruled the striker out of this weekend's Carabao Cup final. So even if he does miss that, that suggests that the ankle problem that he suffered last Friday, I think it was, against Everton, isn't too serious. So he should be there or thereabouts, sort of game week 34. What we do know about Harry Kane, very quick powers of recovery, very robust. So if there's any chance whatsoever, he'll be doing everything in his power to get back out on that pitch.
Mayonnaise was taken has asked about Ricardo Pereira, who had a knock against the Saints in the FA Cup semi-final. Is he fit for the weekend?
He certainly isn't ruled out. It wasn't actually a knock as such. It was more of a precautionary withdrawal. Brendan Rodgers talked about, the fullback who's just returning off a long-term serious knee problem, ACL reconstruction. And he came off with a tight calf, so a slight muscular issue there. And the concern would be, games in quick succession. Obviously, Leicester are playing on Thursday evening against West Bromwich Albion. So that's just before we record tonight. So we'll see with that one. Brendan Rodgers said it comes as no surprise. We often see that players of long-term injuries pick up these little niggles, muscular problems and strains. It's just a case of being able to manage Ricardo and make sure that you don't push him too hard and suffer any kind of serious setback.
With the Pereira situation, though, would you plumb for Timothy Castagna instead so that you don't have these worries about him possibly being benched and time managed?
Yeah, I mean, you may not get the attacking returns from Castagna, and he's definitely the safer option. You would more or less say that, he is in line to start. And if there are going to be changes in that Leicester team, it would likely to be around Pereira, just given the fact that, he's coming off the back of those injuries.
A Fardine of 3-2 comes in with the triple threat. I can't remember the hand movement there that you used to do, Ben. There you go, 3-2-1. Updates on Luiz, Raphinha and Martial.
Yeah, so David Luiz, he had knee surgery. Club have always been confident that he would return before the end of the season, and that looks to be the case. Should hopefully take part in aspects of late training from next week. Now, looking ahead to maybe game week 34, you'd be thinking, it depends on his progress and whether he can come through those sessions unscathed, and they will then look to step up his load and increase his intensity. And again, as long as there's no reaction, then maybe game week 35 or maybe the second leg of the Europa League would be a realistic timeline. For Raphinha, it was a little bit of a surprise that he actually missed out against Liverpool. Impact injury, thigh, very painful. Marcelo Bielsa talked about, we'll have to monitor the evolution of his injury. Now, two two sort of schools of thought at the moment here. Local reports suggest that Rafinha should be very close for the game against Manchester United. Bruno Fernandes, who was actually a teammate of Rafinha's at Sporting, I think it was Sporting Lisbon, done an interview for the Manchester United website, and he said he is good friends with him. He said, unfortunately, I think it looks as if Rafinha's out of the game, and I don't think I'll get a chance to face him. So we'll wait and see on that one. Again, it's a decision that can be made on a daily basis. With Leeds playing on Sunday, Rafinha would need to be involved in training either on Friday or at least take part in the session on Saturday to be considered.
And what about Mr. Martial as well? That was the third one of the triple threat question.
Yeah. So Anthony Martial, if he returns before the end of the season, it will be a bonus. The expectation is that he's probably going to remain on the sidelines. Influencing factors that could potentially determine a quicker return to play, maybe regards to injuries within the squad, if United are still, pushing for that second spot, or if they get into the Europa League final, that might urge, Ollie to maybe take a slight risk on Martial, but he will have one eye on the Euros as well, so he doesn't want to jeopardise any participation in that tournament by coming back too early.
MA Band 4 was worried about Rafinha needed that update because their mini-league is on the line, so we hope that does help you reach the top of your mini-league, and I don't know if there's money involved, but there's always pride at stake. John Detz 6, I think that is, has asked, what do you think about Pope, Phillips, Aubameyang, Rafinha, Lacazette? Are they playing game week 33? I have all of them, and also Lloris, Kane, Diaz, Stones, and Gundogan. That is a bit of a conundrum to say the least.
Yeah, I'll say the ones I remember, and then you can prompt me on the ones that I've missed. So Nick Pope actually took part in training ahead of game week 32, I think it was, but wasn't risked by Sean Dyche, and Peacock Farrell came in and continued for his second successive Premier League game. That was just a case of Dyche managing his squad very carefully and not wanting to push Pope back. Now, provided he comes through this week, we expect him to be back in the squad. Lacazette training away from the main group, and he's actually with the medical team at the moment. We've got no definitive timeline on his potential return, but it looks as if it's going to be at least 2 to 3 weeks on that one.
So continuing with that, there was Phillips, Aubameyang, Rafinha, and Lacazette.
Aubameyang obviously contracted malaria while on international duty, admitted to hospital for a couple of days. He should hopefully take part in light training towards the end of this week. It may be Saturday or Sunday. That gives him an outside chance of being involved maybe in the first leg of the Europa tie against Villarreal. So fingers crossed with that one. Phillips, I'm presuming you mean Nat Phillips of Liverpool and not the Leeds Phillips. What we know is hamstring injury. We don't know the severity. They said it was minor, but that cover a multitude of sins. Even in the best case scenario, you're looking at 7 to 10 days. So even for maybe the upcoming game week, it could be a little bit of a push. The reality of the situation is you don't want to push these problems. They have high re-injury recurrence rates, and it could be Fabinho starting in the back line alongside Kabak this weekend.
They've also asked about Rafinha, but we've covered that one. All right, so I think we've answered all that is for John Detz, and I hope with your team situation, that does seem precarious, and I hope that we've given you a bit of a guiding light on that one. Hoagie007 has asked any update on Antonio. It's for Draft League. Is it likely he will be back in a game week or two? I can wait.
I would never say likely with Mikel Antonio, and particularly his hamstring problems. What we do know is that David Moyes is confident and optimistic that he will be back before the end of the season. But that, we've still got a good 3, 4, 5 weeks potentially before that happens. What we would say with his history, they will not take any risks. And also that depends on how West Ham are doing as well. I know they suffered a defeat on Tyneside last weekend, but inherently, the likes of Bowen, Fornals, Lingard, they've all been playing pretty well. So if West Ham can get another victory this weekend against Chelsea, again, pressure off David Moyes trying to rush Antonio back and he can bide his time. If there's a downturn in results, then maybe there may be one or two risks taken because we are approaching the end of the season and he will have a full summer to recover.
On to the final question of this game week, and Allo221 has asked, after the Super League's debacle, is there any merit in keeping clear of the big six defenders and instead looking for differentials in teams playing against them as teams try to punish them? That is an interesting perspective. I mean, I'll just quickly answer from my perspective. We've kind of said go for defenders that are going to play each game week but are also likely to score, because clean sheets are very rare at the moment. But I don't know, what do you think about this trying to punish them kind of perspective?
No, I don't buy into any of that, to be honest. Look, at the end of the day, these are not decisions made by the managers, the coaches, or players on the pitch. These are made by owners, business owners, who have little or absolutely no idea of what happens at the cold face. They have no understanding of of the mentality, of the tradition of football in general and what it means to supporters. They're so devoid, so away from everything. So, trying to punish teams and players, then I'm not, the players were as much against the Super League as the fans and supporters and the broadcasters and the media pundits. So no, that's not for me. I think, things will just, people, pride of performance and professional performance will want to go out there and do a job. And if it's against the top six, well, they'll go out there because it's a big scalp. Maybe it's against the champions elect or the former champions. So, they've got a job to do on that front anyway.
So that is all the questions from our Reddit thread, and as always you can get involved by tweeting me or Ben, and just get involved on the Premier Injuries channel as well. You can comment below and just comment on any of the videos through the week, but I just have to remind you, make sure to hit subscribe, hit that notification bell, like and share these videos so that you can help your friends out. I know that sometimes you might not want to, but we're all about caring in the community here. So yeah, I'll just hand it over to Ben, and I wish everybody the best of luck going into game week 33.
Yeah, thanks Jason, and thanks guys for another tremendous set of questions on the Reddit thread. Really enjoy these. Good luck ahead of this game week. If you're anything like me, then you will need it. I think I've got about 6 or 7 players, so I haven't planned very well for this one, but fingers crossed. I've got Mr. McKenna in the crosshairs. So yeah, wish me luck and see you all again very soon.